Hello again. Here we are to talk about almost daily JavaScript. And today I have a simple example with sort of this sidebar menu. This is just a rough idea on how you might do something like this. And this is a pretty simple example. I'm just using jQuery with animate here. And I want to talk more about animate in the future. I got some ideas for that. But anyway, so right here I got a simple example. Maybe I'll just build this again from scratch. And let me delete everything here. Essentially I have two boxes, right? So I have the body and then I have this sidebar. And the sidebar is pushed off the left side. And then what I'm doing is I'm moving the body tag. And since the sidebar is relative to the body tag, it pulls that over with it, right? So let's delete all our styles there. And then we'll delete this markup here in the script tag at the bottom. Maybe I'll just leave the script tag there. Okay. And so what we have here is I just have an empty document with a link to jQuery. Okay. And so we'll save it, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so let's set up some content. So maybe first thing we need to do is we need to make a sidebar. So I'll make a div here, give it a class name, call it sidebar, and maybe we'll put maybe a list with some li tags in it. These could be links too. I made them links in my other example, but I'll just make them like this. So we got some links there. And maybe we'll style the sidebar, right? So we'll say, okay, sidebar, you are going to be, you're going to have the class here of sidebar, and you're going to have a width of maybe, 100 and I think I made the other one 200 pixels wide, so we'll do width at 200. I'll give it a background color so we can see where this is. And I think I gave it, black as a background color. And then I gave it a text color of white. Something like that. And there's our sidebar, right? So, we have some space around the side here. Why don't we get rid of that? That's going to be margin on the body tag. So let's do this. Let's do body margin 0, right? And this space here is the margin or the padding on top of I think it's the margin on top of the UL or LI tag, right? We'll deal with that in a minute. So here we've got this thing here. And now what I want to do is I want to take this sidebar and move it off the screen to the left side, right? So what I'll do is I'll give this position absolute, and then we'll set it to left of negative 200 pixels, right? And then it's gone, right? And we can't see it, but it's off to the side there, right? What if I made it left of negative 180 pixels, right? Then you can see there's 20 pixels of that thing sticking off, onto the page, right? So let's set that back to 200, and then maybe we'll set the top to 0 also, so it aligns with the top. Okay. So there we go. And then now let's set up some content on our page, right? So maybe I'll make some content elements here. So we'll set up a div here. Maybe make this a, sort of our main container. And then I'll need a button or some element that we can click on to slide everything in from the left. So let's do that, right? Let's give this guy a class of button, okay? And so for button, let's say you are going to have a width of 40 and height of 40. And, you know, just to keep the position of this, you know, in the upper corner, maybe I'll just use absolute position here and give it a, you know, left of 10 and a top of 10. Oh, wait, I got to give it a color or something or we won't be able to see it. Let's give it a background color of red. I don't know, right? So there's our button, right? So now when we click this button, we want the page to slide over. So let's add a little bit of script here. So, so what we'll do is we'll say, you know, button, you know, when someone clicks you, oops, let's spell that correctly, then, you know, this action is going to happen. And then, you know, we could prevent the default behavior. You know, I don't even think we need that here, but we'll do it anyway. And actually, you know, there is no default behavior for the div, so I don't even need that. But if we'd used a link there, right, this might make a difference. But anyway, so if we click on this guy, now we want the page to slide over. The thing is, we need to know if the page is already over because then we'll want to slide back, right? So let's add a variable here. We'll say sidebar is visible equals false. So, you know, when the page loads, the sidebar is not visible, so this variable shows the state of the sidebar. Okay, and then we can read it and it kind of makes sense. You know, sidebar is visible. You know, if it's true, then we see the sidebar, and if it's false, we don't see the sidebar, right? So the variable kind of explains what's going on, which is good for us, right? So what we'll do here is we'll say, hey, you know, actually let's do it this way. Let's say sidebar is visible equals not sidebar is visible. So if this is a Boolean and we put the exclamation point in front, then that flips the value. You know, if it was true, it becomes false, and if it was false, it becomes true. So here we've just changed the state of sidebar is visible. And then what we'll do is we'll check the state, and we'll take an action depending on the state, right? So what we'll do is we'll say, hey, you know, if sidebar is visible, then we want to move the body over towards the right. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say jQuery body dot animate, right? So we'll say body animate, and then we'll set some properties to animate, and, you know, a time to animate. So what we'll do is we'll say how about left of 200 pixels. And then else down here, right? So we've got an else statement. And otherwise, we'll animate to a left of 0, okay? And I think we're going to probably have to set I forget what I did in the last one. I think I set the body to position relative. Let's test that. Yeah, see, it's not working. Let's see, I forgot I got to do that, right? So let's go up to the body tag here, and let's say you are going to be position relative. Oh, and there's our menu sliding in. Now, actually, what's happening here is the whole content of the body, like, is sliding to the right. Okay, so this is not covering, you know, everything inside the body is sliding to the right, and this, you know, this menu right here is sort of pushing it, right? And then it's all sliding back to where it was. Okay, so anyway, maybe that's useful to someone. You know, it's a simple idea. You know, essentially we've got this variable to keep track of the state. We're switching the value of the variable. You know, so we're changing the state by flipping the value from true to false or false to true, and then we're making a decision based on the state. And then there's some CSS going on here to make this possible, right? Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that's interesting or maybe gives somebody some ideas. Okay, thanks again.